happy friends. It's Kim back from Making Creative Memories in Time, and I'm here with you today to share a up close and personal look at our fabulous Deeper in the Woods collection. And I bought the entire bundle that included the punch, and let's just take a look. So you get, when you buy that bundle, you get a designer paper pack and a texture pack. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm getting ready to put this into my storage solution, so I thought, why not come on and do a video and show you what this collection looks like as I put it into its home. So the Deeper in the Woods designer paper coordinates with beige, hot fudge, parakeet shimmer, avocado, and dark green cardstock or shimmer paper. And it is beautiful. You've got that beige like tree. I love that. And then you have this gorgeous stripe, and it would be perfect as horizontal or vertical. And then you have just this beautiful just pine leaf, like the needles on that avocado paper. And the reverse of that is monochromatic leaves and acorns. Isn't that pretty? Look how pretty that is with that beige piece. And then you have, oh, how pretty. So you're getting real-time reaction from me because this had came in the other day, but I've had a busy work week and I haven't been able to look at it yet. So this is a beautiful wood grain, and again, it could run horizontally or you could let it run vertically, and that's gorgeous with that leaf paper. And the reverse of that is, ooh, this is like a birch bark. That reminds me of like birch tree, birch bark. I love that. And then you have this hot fudge, and I don't know if you can tell, it's like a silhouette of an acorn. How pretty is that? And the reverse of that paper, friends, ooh, pretty. It's done almost a little bit like camo, but it's different shades of green, and it's mountains and trees. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Very different. I love it. And then you have this just leaf silhouette, and this is like this is not beige. This has almost a little bit of a gold hue to it. Very pretty. And then you have this just tree paper. And then there is this gorgeous plaid. And look how pretty that plaid goes with that sort of gold color. Isn't that pretty? And then the reverse of that plaid is a big, nice plaid. So that is your designer paper. Gorgeous. 12 sheets. And then let's take a look at the texture paper pack. This paper pack should be fun, and it complements and will extend your designer paper. So this is like a tree bark with moss growing on it. Very pretty. Very pretty, like a tree bark with moss. And the reverse of that is just a nice texture crackle. Love that. And then you have like the wood stack, like chopped wood. Very pretty. And the reverse of that is like just fern foliage. I did a hike, a 3-mile hike around a lake one time, and there were different little habitats. And there was this little, I always called it where the fairies live, little habitat where there were lots of tree trunks and ferns. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I said, this is where the fairies live. And then there's some pine cones. And the reverse of the pine cone texture is just some bark. Like that. I call that birch. I know it probably is not birch, but I've always called that like birch wood. And then you have a nice cross cut of a tree wood. And then the reverse of that, again, sort of looks like moss. Then you have this nice wood grain piece. And the reverse of that is like camo leaves. How pretty is that? Like Brantley, my niece's husband hunts. He turkey hunts, he deer hunts, so this paper will be great to scrapbook some of Brantley's hunting pictures. Somewhere I think I've got some pictures of John when he was hunting, my nephew. And then there's just a darker piece of bark tree. And then the reverse of that is mountains, pine trees. Very pretty. This has some realistic characteristic to that. So both papers are gorgeous, friends. Gorgeous. And then let's take a look at the rest of the things that came in that bundle. So there are some Deeper in the Woods laser cut borders. And it looks like these are a little bit realistic too. So you have, yep, that is... making sure that's one. Very thick. That's a nice thick. So that's like a piece of broken tree limb. And then, ooh, friends, this has some velvet texture. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but it's like a velvet texture. So this is like just your undergrowth, underbrush. And then this is like a log with some moss and undergrowth at the log. How pretty is that? Then there is a second one of these. There is a second one of these. Ooh, there's a second one of these. And then you have like, again, super thick, friends. You have like a tree line, and there's two of them. And then you have just the leaves. Isn't that pretty? So these borders, these laser cut borders are gorgeous. And several of them have that little velvet touch. How pretty are those? Like, hit some hearts. Come on, friends, hit some hearts. You know you love this stuff. I know, I do. And then here's your sticker pack. Deeper in the Woods. So you've got just all different kinds of sprigs and stumps and ferns and stones and acorns and rocks. And then here are your borders. And then here are your titles. I like that these are a little bit larger. Lost in the Beauty of the Woods, Leaves and Laughter. Oh, how cute for a title, Leaves and Laughter. You'll find me in the forest. Every path leads to new discoveries. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul. I love that, by John Muir. I love that. I live like it's forested everywhere around me. Like literally you walk out of my yard into the mountains, into the forest. So this is perfect. And Ben and I like to hike. We have several like little local spots that we like to go to at least once a year. And living in Kentucky, we have plenty of that. And then this, friends, is Deeper in the Woods embellishments. And so let's see. You've got Wilderness, I Am Home in the Woods. And then you have like this frame that's like that birch bark frame. Love that. This is just some shrubbery, like some leaves shrubbery. And then, ooh, this frame has that velour or velvet. I know the camera is probably not doing that any justice, but for us sensory people, you can feel that. I love it. And then you have this cross cut of a tree, and then you've got the little pine sprig. How pretty would that be to stamp a title on that or journal with a brown pen? Then you have this great wood frame. You have another, this is like a pine wood crosscut, and then this is in that velvet. I love this, friends. I can't tell you how pretty this is. Serenity, and this is in that velvet. Then you have this little set of leaves that are velvet. Lost in Nature, Found in Peace. The Lost in Nature is done in the velvet. Then you have these live edge, like for journal spots or layering, tucking behind photos. Then you have another frame that the leaves are in that velvet. And then Wild Beauty, and that's in that velvet. How pretty, and just so apropos for the woodsy feel, I think. I love it. Oh, and there's another crosscut. Love that. And then because I bought the bundle, I got the project playbook that I can put in my binder. And this gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pages in the project playbook. And then finally, before I show you the punch, the Deeper in the Woods matte pack. And you know I'm a sucker for matte packs, right? I love to use them in all different kind of ways. Forest Dreams. I love these. Sorry, my hands are dry. The forest is a place of quiet and wonder. Cute, 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 friends. I love this. And I love how, like, there's some realistic, like, photography in this as well. Into the Woods. I love this. Life is better in the great outdoors. This is just such a pretty pack. Wilderness Calls. Amen. It's pouring the rain today here. Nature's beauty is a reminder that life is simple if we just slow down. Amen. Amen. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I have a lot of close to my heart stamps that have pine and pine cones and pine sprigs that I can complement this just beautifully with. How pretty. This reminds me of coming in as you're landing in an airplane in the mountains and you look down and you see those trees. Love it. Soulful Escape. Adventure awaits in the woods. I love it. Those are beautiful. So if you like this Deeper in the Woods collection, hit some hearts. Let me know. And then we have this, and I'm probably just going to do this, friends, with some white scrap paper. But I want to show you something. So this is called the Evergreen Trees Punch. And I think this would be so much fun to make some three-dimensional trees. Let's get this lined up. I'm in a spot where I really can't see. There's a reflection, and I can't tell if I'm lined up or not. I think I'm lined up right there. Let's see. Which I know it's not long enough, but what I want to show you is the size of these trees that gets punched out, because that's probably how I will use this punch. So you have a larger, and this one doesn't have a trunk, and then you have this one that does have a trunk. But you know, you could totally make some three-dimensional trees by, and I'm just going to see if I can use the back of my tweezers, and I'm basically just scoring or trying to score a line. And like, you could stamp these with a texture and then overlay these and make, even though they're going to go a little bit flat in your book, you could still overlay them and they make like a 3D or like a 3D embellishment in your book. And how cute would it be to either ink or ink and stamp to create your own trees? Isn't that pretty? And you could do the same thing with this one as well. You could cut that trunk off, and then you could, let's just do that real quick. Just cut the trunk off, and then you just score it and fold it. Again, after you've stamped it or inked it. And then what I would do is use my Bearly Arts with that precision tip and glue it down after I've done whatever it is I'm going to do to decorate it. And then you just glue it down and you get that little bit of that 3D element. Isn't that fun? So that's probably how I will use this. But I want you to also be aware, remember, I've talked to you guys about using punches and using the negative space to create stencils. This would be a great way to layer some stenciling behind the trees. If you had like a cluster of trees, you could stencil in, and like this be light stenciling, and then you layer in your punched pieces. And I just think that would be so, so pretty. So I hopefully, maybe one day this week, I can come on after work. It's crazy busy grant writing season right now, so I'm working long hours. But hopefully I can pop in and do that. But I wanted to show you guys how awesome. And this is a punch that you can pull out when you're scrapbooking nature, like your outdoor summer hikes and things. And it also will be wonderful for winter time and Christmas, because you can put snow on these trees. You can put these trees on cards, on scrapbook pages. So there's multi-purposes for this punch. So this is a punch I definitely would get if you are a punch girl, if you are a nature lover. Don't let this punch get gone. Like, get it. Get it, get it, get it. So let's move this out of the way, and I'm going to show you guys how I store my things. I have been thinking about getting, I think they're called the Power Sort Pockets. I'm not sure what they're called, but I've been thinking about getting them. But what I usually do, these come from Amazon, and there's like 48 in a pack, and they're just a little plastic sleeve. There's no pockets, it's just the sleeve. And so what I do is I take my paper collections out of their packages, but I leave this sheet in there that tells me the name of the paper, and it tells me what it is. So this one is the Texture Designer Paper Pack, and then this one is the Designer Paper Pack. So I'll leave those covers in there. And then I print from my P-Touch, my brother P-Touch. I print a little sticker that tells me the name of this collection. Even though it says it here, and these peel off, like when you use up all the collection, they peel off pretty good. Even though it says it there, I always like to just put that on. I'm just kind of, same way with my punches. I always label my punches on one side. One side, it shows you what the punch is, so you can see it from the side view. And then I always put my name on the bottom. Just, you know, if we ever go cropping together, I don't care at all for people to use my things. I just stick my name on there. And then I always put these back together. Sometimes I stick them in the little packaging. Sometimes I don't. But kudos to Home Office for putting our mat pack in zippy bags now. I love that. And I just drop them in the back. The Project Playbook, I have the nice binder that these go in now, but pre-binder, they went right in the front. Same way with these embellies. These embellies are going to go right back in their package. I may zip, I may not zip. And these sit straight up on my shelf. I have cubes, and these slide right in. And then I have a little tab that I put on the side and staple it in. And I store these in alphabetical order, because then if I'm looking for a particular collection, the fact that I've stored it in an alphabetical order, not by theme, makes it easier. That's just, I'm weird like that. It just makes it easier for me to locate it. If I look in the alphabetical filing of the name of the paper. So this one is Deeper in the Woods. Uh-oh. Definitely don't want to bend that little tree branch. And so what I do is I try to make these sort of stand out a little bit, so nothing gets really fat back here in the back. And then like the cards, I'll just sort of stick them right in the middle so that there's not like a hump somewhere. And so then I come in with our tab punch, and this is just the back of packaging, friends. And I just use our tab punch, and I punch, and then I use a permanent pen, Deeper in the Woods. I handwrite it. I didn't know that I was type C until Amber did her Create the Best this week. And she said she was a type C mom. Well, I'm not a mom, but obviously I'm a type C. But I see that packaging is in the way, and if I staple that, I won't be able to get that out. This is a really old, teeny little stapler. It does little staples from close to my heart, and I like it. And now I can slide that back over. And so when it sits on my shelf, it'll slide in like this, and when I'm looking alphabetically, I can just pull that back and see that says Deeper in the Woods, and everything is stored, and it takes up this much space on my shelf. Isn't that wonderful? So leave a comment, friends, and let me know what you think about Deeper in the Woods. If you would like to order Deeper in the Woods, I am going to run a special this week and next week. If you order from my link, tag down below, you get a free tape runner. So, tape runner of choice. And by that, I don't mean like, I don't mean the refill. I mean the actual tape runner. So, if you are a new to me customer, or if you're not a new to me customer, but you order this bundle from me or Deeper in the Woods from me, you get a tape runner thrown in. So, let me know what you think. Leave a comment. And I will see you soon, friends. Happy scrapping.